Mom, I need you to handle Christmas dinner this year. It will be 15 people from Mark's family, and you know how you cook. The way she said it was light, almost playful, as if she were asking for a favor that cost nothing. Eleanor Vance was 72 years old. She had lived in the same house in Ohio for more than 40 years. She had buried her husband, she had raised her daughter alone, she had survived loneliness that settled into her bones like winter. And in that moment, standing in her quiet kitchen with the late afternoon sun slanting across the counter, she felt something inside her pause. 15 people, she said softly. Why do I have to take care of everything? There was a sigh on the other end, the kind that carries impatience disguised as exhaustion. Because you have the time, Mom. We both work all day, and our place is too small. Your house is perfect. You have that big dining room, and no one makes turkey like you. Eleanor closed her eyes. This kitchen had held her entire life. It had smelled like baby formula and burnt toast and coffee at 5 in the morning before factory shifts. It had heard her cry quietly the night her husband died. It had been the place she stretched every dollar and every ounce of strength. I am not a caterer, she said quietly. I am your mother. Oh, Mom, do not be dramatic. It is just dinner. I will pay you back for groceries. Mark's mom is bringing dessert. You only have to do the main course and sides and clean up. You know, the usual. The usual. When had the usual become invisible labor? When had the usual become her identity? And there is one more thing. Mark's aunt cannot eat gluten. His cousin is vegetarian. His grandmother only eats well-done meat. Nothing spicy, and please do not buy expensive wine. Each request landed like a small stone. And what will you be doing? Eleanor asked. I will help. I will set the table. Mark will be busy with his family. Busy with his family? Eleanor looked at the framed photo on the wall of her daughter at 5 years old, in a pink dress, grinning without her front teeth. She had promised herself after Robert died that Sarah would never feel lack. She would be mother and father. She would be strength and softness. She would never let her daughter see how afraid she was. And now her daughter spoke to her like a service she had already booked. Sarah, she said slowly, when was the last time Mark's family invited me to anything? Silence. They appreciate you, Mom. Appreciation was not the same as respect. All right, Sarah, she said, and her voice changed. Calm, steady, different. That means yes, right, Mom? Eleanor walked to the window and looked at the backyard where she once pushed her granddaughter on a rusted swing. No. There was a pause so deep it hummed. What? Your husband and his relatives can come for Christmas, but I will not be here. I'm going on a trip. The silence turned sharp. A trip? Where? With who? Alone. You cannot travel alone at your age. At my age? Eleanor felt something inside her settle into place. Everything is already planned, Sarah said. By you. She hung up. Her hands trembled, but beneath the tremble was something unfamiliar. Freedom. That night, she opened the small notebook she kept in her bedside drawer. For years, she had written down every dollar spent, every loan given, every grocery bill covered, every emergency handled. In 5 years, she had given more than $15,000 to Sarah and Mark. $15,000 from a pension meant to carry her into old age. Not once had they asked if she needed help. Not once had they offered to fix the leaking roof or pay for her medications. The phone rang again. Mom, please, Mark is furious. I already told everyone you were cooking. Learn, she said. Learn how to cook for your own guests. You are being selfish. Selfish? The word women hear when they stop bending. The next morning, Eleanor put on her cream blouse, the one Sarah said made her look older. She looked at herself in the mirror, really looked. There was a woman there, not a function, not a convenience, a woman. She walked into town and stepped into a travel agency. The young agent smiled warmly. Where would you like to go? As far as possible, she said. Spain and Italy, the agent suggested. 3 weeks. Madrid, Barcelona, Rome, Florence, December 20th to January 10th. Christmas in Europe. How much are you looking to spend? 5,000. With that, we can make something beautiful. Eleanor thought of the money she had handed out without hesitation. This time, she chose herself. Book it. When she stepped back onto the sidewalk, ticket in hand, she felt lighter than she had in decades. Her phone buzzed. Mark says if you do not cancel, he will tell everyone you ruined Christmas. Tell him I will be in Europe. Europe? With what money? Mine. She turned her phone off. For 3 days, she lived in silence. She bought a red suitcase, a beige coat, bright scarves, comfortable walking shoes. She bought guidebooks and circled museums she had only seen in magazines, the Prado, the Sagrada Familia, the Colosseum. She turned her phone back on to dozens of messages. Anger, blame, guilt, need. She met her friend Beatrice at a cafe. "You look different," Beatrice said. "I booked a trip to Europe for Christmas." "Finally," Beatrice laughed. "I've been waiting for this version of you." "Am I selfish?" "You are late," she said gently, "but not selfish. A good mother teaches independence. A useful mother does everything." Eleanor sat with that truth. When she returned home, she called Sarah. "Come over," she said, alone. They sat across from each other in the living room. "You are embarrassing me," Sarah said. "Everyone is talking." "Which everyone?" "Mark's family." "When have they ever invited me anywhere?" Silence. "They appreciate you, Sarah." Eleanor placed the notebook on the coffee table. $15,000. "We're family." "Then show me how you have helped me." Tears, accusations, jealousy. "You are jealous of Mark. I am tired of being his unpaid staff." Sarah stormed out. The house shook, but Eleanor did not. Days passed in peace. Then, one afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Brenda, Mark's mother, stood there. "The timing is unfortunate," she said. "How many times have you invited me anywhere?" Eleanor asked. Brenda blinked. "We thought you enjoyed hosting? Did you ever ask?" "No. For 5 years I have cooked and cleaned and paid, and no one asked who I am. Do you know my favorite color?" Brenda did not. "What can we do?" she asked quietly. "Nothing. This year you will learn to plan without me." After she left, Eleanor sat with her tea and felt something shift in the world. 5 days until her flight. The day before departure, a man stood at her door with flowers. "My name is David Hawthorne. My daughter is the travel agent." He was traveling the same dates, recently widowed, trying to remember who he was beyond being a caretaker. "I'm not looking for romance," he said gently. "Just conversation. Perhaps someone to take a photo in front of the Leaning Tower." She laughed. "All right," she said, "but we each pay our own way." In Madrid, they walked through the Prado. In Barcelona, they watched the Mediterranean glow gold at sunset. In Rome, they laughed when he mispronounced Italian words. In Florence, they sat in quiet awe before paintings that made her heart ache. For 3 weeks, she did not cook for anyone. She did not clean for anyone. She did not solve anyone's problems. She wrote in a journal, "Happiness is not a reward for sacrifice. It is a decision." Sarah texted, "We canceled Christmas dinner. We argued. His parents are disappointed in us. I think I understand a little." Eleanor felt no triumph, only peace. On her last night in Barcelona, she looked out over the water and told David she once dreamed of being an art teacher. "Then be one," he said. On the plane home, she wrote, "I do not need permission to live." 6 months later, Eleanor sat in a sunlit room converted into an art studio, her hands stained with paint, canvas leaning against every wall. She was 73 and learning color, learning form, learning herself. Her house was quiet, but not lonely. Sarah called differently now. She asked how her mother was. She invited her to lunch and paid. Small changes, real ones. Mark remained Mark, but he was no longer her responsibility. David visited once a week. He had bought a piano. They drank tea, they laughed, they let life unfold without pressure. Her savings grew, her shoulders felt lighter, her laughter came easier. She had believed for decades that love meant endless sacrifice. Now she understood that love without respect is simply dependence. Some days she grieved the years lost, but grief no longer ruled her. The woman who boarded that plane had been exhausted, invisible, defined by usefulness. The woman who returned was Eleanor Vance, artist, traveler, friend. A woman who understood that saying no can be the most loving thing you ever say to yourself. Every morning she woke with uncertainty, and for the first time in her life, uncertainty felt like possibility. If you were in her place, what would you choose? Would you keep cooking, keep bending, keep waiting? Or would you board the plane? If this story